The greatest part of being a producer is going on Friday night to see your movie and having it being sold out. And then getting in the theater and sitting and watching your movie with 350 strangers, and they're screaming or laughing, I mean, that's the best feeling of all.
Showing your family what you've been working on for years, having them come and see it for the first time. It's really fun to have if you have kids or husband or wife or parents or siblings, it's very satisfying to show your family. I mean, we're all doing this for our families. So I think the best part for me is I can't wait to show it to my boys and my wife and my mom and dad. Second most exciting is if it works and getting the box office numbers and knowing that no one's going to lose money. The studio's not going to lose money. You know, all the people that invested so much time and so much energy and so much resources that you were responsible for them making money on their investment. So that's a very satisfying thing. Ultimately, that you have a film that you're proud of, that you know affected people comically or emotionally or whatever. I mean, it's really nice. I get emails all the time from people that saw Pursuit of Happiness or Antoine Fisher or Hope Springs or Name the Movie that were really changed my life or this or that. I mean, cinema can change your life. So that's also a great part of it. There's lots of good parts to being a producer. I love it.
And for me, the best part is working with people on a set to make a movie. I always say it's like summer camp. You get together with a group of people, you have a short, intense experience, and then you all go home and do it again in a few months.
The greatest part of being a filmmaker and a producer is to bring dreams to the screen. And I believe our brains actually go into a trance when we watch a movie. So we're trying to cast spells. And we have to use money and tactics and scripts, but we're really trying to weave you into something that when you see it, you're absolutely unaware of all of that.
The greatest part of being a producer is the fact that I feel like I'm doing something different every day. It's always, new challenges and new interesting aspects to the business, whether it's, notes on a script or notes on a finished film, editing notes on a finished film, or it's, working with casting directors, or it's working with the director, or going through storyboards, or putting together the financing, or putting together marketing materials. It's just every day is something different.
It's all great. The truth is, because I get every day to talk and do the things that I love, with an end result being something that I love, which is a movie that works. Doesn't always work. Those are bad days. Being a producer, there's moments of success and moments of failure all the time. It's like I describe it as a sine curve. It's going up. Things are looking up, things are looking up, you get to the top, you sell something to the studio and it's like, it doesn't get any better than that, and then it doesn't get any better than that, and then it starts, the studio complaining, they don't want to make the movie, we're never going to make this movie, it's too expensive, we can't cast it, and then you cast somebody, and then they put up the money, and then you get to make the movie. So there's always ups and downs. The ups are the best part, when you sell something, when a studio is going to finance a movie, when a director decides they like your movie, when an actor signs on to your movie, that's gold, because then you're going to make the movie. Those are all part of the job. So it's an you can't be a producer and do it half-assed.
No matter how good you are, it's very hard to perfect. That every movie is different, every movie has its own issues. Succeeding one time doesn't necessarily lead you to succeed the next time, and that's frustrating and challenging.
One of the things I've learned is to stay very much in touch with my first instincts, because they're probably right. That's a big thing. Another thing I've learned is that talent follows material, that if you have great material, if you have a really good script, you can get really great people to work on it. And the final thing probably is just how you treat people is your karma, and it comes back to you. It's a small business, and you see people and then you see them again. And if you treat people well, you often, despite all the stories about how tough Hollywood is, and it is tough, you end up getting treated well in response.
One brings his or her own sensibility, intelligence, skill or lack of in dealing with people on the very first film you do, as well as the 40th film in my case, which I did. or well-formed adults, you do learn, I think, some problems resurface if you've made the wrong choice in a particular person, crew or actor or what, but I really am stymied. I don't know how to answer what I've learned. Hopefully, in any field, experience makes you a little wiser. So hopefully I know more now than when I began. On the other hand, there's nothing like that first time. The passion and involvement the first time you're making a film, sort of that wide-eyed wonderment that you're actually doing it and sort of in charge.
I think the biggest lessons I've learned over the years are don't think you know everything that's going to happen. There have been movies I've made that I thought were going to turn out great, and they haven't turned out nearly as good as I expected. And there have been movies that I've made that we just went along the way, and they turned out to be much better than I expected. I had made 30 or 40 movies that went straight to DVD before we made another movie that we thought would go straight to DVD called Threesome. And as we were making it, we really didn't have any idea that it would be any different than the others. But when we were done, it turned out good enough to go out theatrically, and on a movie that cost $1.5 million, it did about $65 million throughout the world. And we had no clue as we were making it that that would happen.
There are so many lessons learned. You know, we had one time, and the company's been around almost 30 years. At one point, we were just producing for the Discovery Channel. We had 2 series on Discovery. This was like mid-90s. And we didn't develop for anybody else. And I learned a very important lesson there that executives change at all the networks all the time. So you may think you're comfortable at a network, but you know, trends change in television. You know, shows that work maybe one year may not work the next year. So I rested on our laurels at Discovery, and what ended up happening is the executive that I was working with there was moved aside and let go, and a new group came in, and the new group wanted to change everything. So I went from really all our shows at one network to all of a sudden they didn't want to buy anything from us. And when I scrambled to go out to pitch other networks, they were like, well, you're the Discovery guy. So it was a double whammy. And I realized at that time, it was an important lesson to learn, is that you need to be able to produce for everybody, all the buyers. You know, if you're a good producer, you can produce for everyone in any genre, any kind of story.
Every movie is different. Every situation is different. You try to take the failures and learn from them. You try to take the successes and grow from them. But there's a lot of disappointment. There's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of false starts. There's a lot of blind alleys you go down, and even when things all appear to go well, you can get sniped from any different way, having the wrong release date, having an actor that suddenly gets cold, having an idea that seemed fresh when it's released 2 years later isn't fresh. So you just try to kind of keep a positive attitude and show up every day and believe in the fact that you want to entertain people. You hope that the things you're working on strike some chord with them, either laughter or fear or sadness or family, or you know, something that you can make people feel in a kind of uniquely, you know, experience where everyone's experiencing it together, and it feels like a universal experience.
What makes a good producer in my mind is someone who has a joy of storytelling. That's first and foremost. You've got to love telling stories. You need to read all the time. You need to listen to what people say all the time. When I'm walking down the street and I hear a piece of a conversation, I pull out my iPhone and I type it in. When I talk to my children and they say something to me that I think, where did that come from? I put them to bed and I go right back upstairs and type it into my computer. It's a desire to take something that is very specific in the human condition, that when you hear it, like the person who you've heard it from, you experience it in the same way. And the ability to then put that into a story, put that into a movie, and touch people universally is what our jobs are as creators.
I think that the important part for producers is to try and provide an environment where artists can be artists and feel that they can have that artistic freedom, And at the same time, studios need to be heard and feel that their money's being spent in a certain way. And a producer's job is to hear that information and analyze it in a way where everyone feels like they're getting what they need from the experience.
Have the ambition to do something great, don't aim so low, don't, that you're just worried about getting a picture made. You gotta, once the opportunity arises, you have to seize it, take advantage of it. There's usually a movie that put that person on the path to making a movie. I always sort of feel like your job, once you get the opportunity to do this, is to create that movie for that next generation.
I think the qualities of a good producer, the first is you have to be totally insane. To wake up every day and try to do this job is fundamentally, goes against every amount of reason and intelligence anybody would ever have, because you're moving such a giant rock up a hill every single day. So being insane is good, because you have to have just complete blind optimism that everything's gonna work out, when every fact and every amount of intelligence and reason is telling you it's not gonna work out.
You can't be thin-skinned, you gotta be tough. And you have to keep going back even though you've been rejected. And determination to win. I wanna win every time I'm out. And if someone says they don't like my script, not interested in that. No one knows any better than I do about my material. And after I've now made 29 or 30 movies, I do believe that we are over $3 billion in receipts. I have, my films have been responsible for 17 nominations. I have an Oscar, I have a Golden Globe, I have an Independent Spirit Award. I have just about every award given to a producer. So I say to myself, maybe I know what I'm reading.
You have to be stupidly stubborn and just not take no for an answer. There's not a movie that we have made that hasn't been said no to a million times. Almanac, a movie that we just finished, 2 studios, I brought the movie to them 3 times and they passed every time. And it was on the 4th go-round that I was able to convince Paramount to make the movie.
You gotta say to yourself, do you believe yourself? Stay with it. Stay with it until it happens. And if you get rejected 15, 20 times, keep going back. Every one of my movies that I made has been rejected by almost everybody. And that includes Platoon, that was rejected for 10 years when Oliver Stone had it. And The Fugitive, no one wanted to make it. The Fugitive, everyone said, you're wasting your money. You're wasting your time. It's a television series. No one in the world has ever made a movie out of a television series. And I did it. I knew I was right. I felt it, and I stayed with it. At the time, it became the 2nd highest grossing film in the history of Warner Brothers.
I think the key quality for a good producer is persistence. You just got to keep, going at it, keep persisting, because everybody says no, but a good producer will say no is really 50% of a yes. So,
I think the first thing a good producer needs is grit and tenacity, because there's a tremendous amount of rejection in being a producer.
I think tenacity and longevity are the best qualities that a producer can have. You have to be able to hear no a lot and to be able to keep going and not get discouraged. You have to have a good sense of taste as to the material that you want to make. You have to have a commercial sense so that the movies that you make will bring back the money that went into them, so the people that gave you the money will want to give you more money to make more movies.
Stick-to-itiveness is key. If you get frustrated, if you bump up against something, you have to find a way around it. You can never, there's no problems, there's only challenges. If you even say the word problem, it feels wrong. So it's a challenge, okay? How do we accomplish this? How do we get over that hurdle? So you have to have that ability to see past what's going on and know that you can get to a future goal that is going to be better. You just got to be passionate about what you do. Good. You have to give good instincts, I think. Good with people. You have to watch movies, read books. You have to work. I think you have to work hard to be good at it.
The advice that I give to people who are moving into producing is to know what you like and what you don't like. Have a good sense of your own taste. Know the history of your own medium, right? We have seen old movies, so you know what basic story forms are, what's been popular in the past. So know what's good, know what you like and don't like, know the basic forms and stories that have been told in the business. And finally, to just good advice for anyone, have some real concrete goals so that you can know whether you're succeeding or failing or running in place.
Be passionate about what you choose to. I often quote, what is it? Be careful what you want, you may get it. But that's too cute, I don't even know if it's applicable. What I really say is, Joseph Campbell, follow your bliss. Initiate things you really care about in your gut, because A, it's a long haul from that till you can actually start filming something. And B, genuine passion is persuasive. You don't sell everything, but you're dealing with people who may not have it, and your passion can carry the day.
My belief that your passion in what you do makes you more likely to succeed. And that is something that can be very difficult, except when you look back, as I am able to do, with a little bit of perspective and a little bit of experience, and see that the films that I wrote for myself, when I thought I was stealing time from my company, the ones where I went out and felt guilty while I was writing them, like Mole Flanders, were actually getting made more frequently than the ones that I was trying to make fit the studios, like writing Gulliver's Travels with Arnold Schwarzenegger attached. So it became a self-fulfilling thing to look at it. If I'm passionate, I keep fighting to try and figure out how to get other people to see what's in me. I don't quit on the movie, I keep changing the script until I figure out how to get it made. And somehow, I think the material that comes from your passion comes from deeper places in you.
If you have storytelling at the center of your life, if you're reading continually, if you are constantly telling stories to your friend, if you are affected by the stories that are being told to you, and you ultimately want to tell those, or by extrapolation, new stories that come out of your head that are amalgams of a number of smaller pieces or completely original. If you do that, I think, and if you do the work, and I think film school is a really important part of that, that we're blessed in this country and many countries around the world have great film schools to go to. If you study to do that, if you become proficient at creative writing and being a great editor of creative writing in that, if you can look at photographs and see where someone is situated on the golden mean, so that you know the emotion that's being conveyed in the still that later becomes the moving image. If you listen to music and you have a vocabulary with your director and your composer to understand the elements that make up comedy, the elements that make up drama or pace or action, those are all things that you need to cultivate inside of yourself. It's not picking up a digital camera and going out there and doing it. It's a driving passion that there is nothing else in the world that you can do.
Getting in the business today is actually, you're at an optimal time. You know, this is Ventura Boulevard right here. We're in the Valley, we're in Studio City. There are probably, this is called Reality Row. There's probably about 40 production companies within, you know, a golf shot of each other. And, you know, unlike 2008, 2009, when the economy kind of hit and our business took a big hit, because if advertisers aren't buying, TVs, networks aren't buying from us, and then from us, it's the cameramen, the caterers, the makeup, and so on all the way through. Right now, the industry is thriving. So consequently, if you're new to the business, if you're looking to make an entry into television or film, especially in this area here, where a lot of television is produced, you couldn't ask for a better time.
I think for the next generation, there's opportunities that didn't exist. You can make movies for less money, with lighter equipment, less crew, and you have an opportunity to turn out something that can be competitive if you use your skills and do a good job with films that cost a lot more, and those opportunities may not have existed in the past.
It's changing drastically, and that means there's going to be more opportunities. There's different forms of storytelling. You know, people love to watch 13 episodes in one day on Netflix. So there's going to be a lot of different opportunities. Social media.
Take advantage of all the technology. Take advantage of the access that people have today that I didn't have when I was coming through the ranks. Because you have so much access to information, you have so much access to technology, you have so much access to talent. You can find someone on the internet that's extremely talented and reach out to them and say, hey, I have a common sense of humor as you. I have a common vision of what the filmmaker I want to be, and you can find them. You know, that wasn't available before. If you went to college, you were kind of relegated to the guy who was in your class, and so there's tremendous access. There's tremendous amount of opportunity to learn how to be a filmmaker from things like this and things on the internet, and there's just an unbelievable wealth of information.
I think you're going to see some 18-year-old kid in Minnesota come up with a great, idea for a TV series and filming his friends doing it, and it's going to be a big hit. And I think you're going to see a lot of that happening because everybody has access to the tools to make stories. So I think that's going to be opening up a lot of doors.
Well, the biggest opportunities today are YouTube and the internet. I mean, you can make short films now. I mean, there are huge opportunities today. You don't need to go to film school today. It's great if you can, but you don't need to. I think the internet is the most valuable tool for young filmmakers today ever.
So my advice is take advantage of the technology, take advantage of the information, and just go out there every day and try to do it. Try to produce something. Produce a short, produce a web series, produce your friend's music video, and just do it. And by doing it, you'll start to gain more confidence and start to gain more understanding of how it's done. And those opportunities will lend themselves to being used in the business, but also might even become opportunities that get you discovered and give you access into people and places that will help you to accomplish your goal.
I am extremely excited about changes, developments, technology. I love cameras. And I collect antique cameras, but I collect the goofy, weird, and the wonderful ones, the things that made jumps in technology, not the ones that people buy so they can make money off them. I think technology is going to push us into places that we've never imagined before. We may find that sound systems that get inside our head and give us more emotions. We may find that 3D holographic movies put us into this trance state that I believe exists in such depth that we actually are more emotionally connected. I think that the definition of films are going to increase till it's looking like through a window, and we'll be unconscious that we're even in a film. Whether it's over the internet, whether it's individually through going to a movie theater, which I think people will still do. People still need to go somewhere to date. Teenagers need to go somewhere to get away from the parents. So I think movie theaters are never going out of business, but I think there may be other ways of getting our films and seeing them that we have yet to experience and that are going to be very efficient and very helpful.